StrayAllDay.com. Tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you're expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves all of us, especially you. Let's talk just about you. Moves you to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together in one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show. This daily, yes, you heard me correctly, daily. That means every day. Masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. If you didn't know about the show, I suggest you subscribe or whatever it is you need to do. Set a notification in your phone. Put a rubber band around your wrist, something that's going to remind you to make sure you listen to this show every day, because it is a daily show, has been since 2016. If you didn't know that, now you know. Welcome to the party. Today's topic is the Work on Your Game framework for sports and business. And we're 1,600 episodes into this show, and I realized that I had never actually made a masterclass, a complete masterclass, where I explained the application of each aspect, the 4 pillars of the Work on Your Game philosophy as it applies to the business world and to the sports world. But now, as of today, we're going to check that off the list of things undone. This is something that we can now call done. I do lay this out, any of you who is a reader, and if you're not a reader, you should become one, because there's a book that is the same title as this masterclass. It is called Work on Your Game. Use the pro athlete mindset to dominate your game in business, sports, and life. You can get that hardcover book. Plus, I'm gonna give you $1,400 in immediate digital bonuses when you order the hardcover book right now at workonyourgamebook.com. Those bonuses are only available at workonyourgamebook.com, by the way, just in case you were wondering. But today's topic, once again, is the Work on Your Game framework. Work on Your Game framework for sports and business. Point number 1. Now, you already know what the 4 pillars are, because I say them every single day here on the show. The first one is discipline. Let me tell you where I got the concept of discipline being the most important. And yes, these are in order of, if I had to give you an order, you need all 4 of them, but if I had to give you an order, this is the order I would put them in, this order that I say them every day. The first one is discipline. The reason that I talk about discipline being as important as it is first of all, coming from basketball, when I first started playing, I was terrible around age 14. Didn't know how to play, didn't have anybody teaching me. My father is 5 feet 9 inches tall. He was not a basketball player, still not one to this day. And he didn't teach me how to play basketball. Nobody in my neighborhood took me under their wing or anything like that. Where I come from, for every one basketball coach in the neighborhood, there were about 150 players. So none of the coaches was taking me under their wing. They could only afford to focus on the players who were showing the most promise very early. I wasn't one of them, so I didn't have that. There was no older guy in the neighborhood. I don't have any brothers. There was nobody in the neighborhood who said, I'm gonna teach you how to play. You're trash now, but I'm gonna teach you. The only players who got attention were people who were already showing potential. So I wasn't one of them. All I did was just keep showing up to the court, keep practicing, so I figured things out. That discipline eventually led to some actual skill, to the point that eventually I was able to teach other people how to play basketball. It took me many years to get to that point, but that's the discipline of me showing up every single day doing the work. And any of you who's ever played a sport, you know, when you get on a team, every day you have practice. Even solo sports, every day you have training, and you don't always feel like being in those trainings. You don't always feel like being at practice, even though your vocation of playing a sport is probably one of the most fun jobs you can have. It still doesn't mean it's fun every single day. Any of you who plays a sport professionally, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Nowadays in the business world, it's the same thing, is showing up every single day. I mean, this show, how often do I say this show comes out? How long has this show been running? Every single day, showing up and doing the job. Now, this doesn't mean if you get in business, you have to have some kind of media that comes out every day, but I decided that I was gonna do it every day. That's why I'm qualified to talk about discipline, showing up every day, do the work. I'm overqualified to talk about that compared to anybody out there in the world talking about discipline. In professional sports, it's a requirement to show up every day because your job depends on it. If you don't want to show up every day and practice, you won't have a job. You'll get fired if you don't want to practice. If you don't come to practice, you're fired. And if you come to practice and you half-ass it, you'll be fired. Professional athletes, any of you who knows a professional athlete or any of you who is one, let me tell you right now, and if you're a former one, you know this one very well. When you become a former professional athlete, it will not be because you got tired of playing in the games. I don't care what you did in the games. I don't care if you were winning. Maybe if you're losing a lot, then you might just say, forget it, because I ain't that good. But a professional athlete who's having any measure of success in your sport, when you stop playing, it will not be because you got tired of the competitions and the games and the matches. You stop playing because you don't want to go through that training anymore. That's the reason you stop playing. I stopped playing basketball not because I got tired of the games. All right, the games are the easy part. If all basketball was playing in the games, I'm 38 years old as I record this right now, I would still be playing basketball. This show might not even exist because I'd be still focused on playing basketball. All I had to do was just come to the games, I'd be good. Maybe I would have the show there because then I wouldn't have to spend so much time training. But you get what I'm saying. Athletes stop playing because of the training. Any of y'all remember Kobe Bryant wrote that Dear basketball letter? First it started off as a letter, then he made it into a little short film and won an Oscar for it. I didn't think the film was even that great. I think enough time has passed from Kobe's death that I could say something critical about Kobe. I didn't think that film was that great at all, but he won an Oscar because he's Kobe, and I ain't mad at him for that. That's part of the politics of the game. But anyway, one of the things that Kobe said in that letter was that, listen, I mentally can do it, but my body just can't take this training anymore. I can't put myself through these workouts anymore. I can't go through another off season of doing what Kobe Bryant does. So that means I got to hang up the sneakers and stop being Kobe Bryant. All right, the games are the fun part, ladies and gentlemen. Any of you watch a sport, the game is the easy part. But whatever you see athletes doing in the game and it looks hard, all right, trust me, what they do in practice is 10 times harder than that, mentally and physically. Every professional athlete leaves the game because they get tired of the training, okay? It's the training and the practice that grinds you down. The games are the easy, but the games build you up. The training and the practice are the things that kick your ass and beat you up. And the reason you see an ex-football player or a basketball player or whatever athlete, they're walking funny or their hands are all messed up and their fingers are going in different directions, that's from the practices. All right, that ain't from the games. That's the shit that happens in practice every day. That ain't no cameras and you don't know anything about it. In the business world, you can get away with half-assing when you get to the point that you don't really want to do that hard work anymore. Whatever the equivalent is of training in sports, whatever you would have in your business, you can get away with that in the business world, half-assing and not really showing up all the way for a good amount of time, depending on your position, depending on how much cachet you've built up in your business. But you won't want to if you're in the right position doing the right job. You won't want to half-ass. You won't want to not show up all the way. And everybody who's in a position of leadership, a supervisor, they want a team of people who are showing up fully every single day. Do you want people on your team who are showing up halfway when they don't really feel like showing up? You don't want that on your team. So no supervisor would want you on the team if you were doing that. And you don't want anybody on the team who's not going to show up every day. So discipline is the most important aspect of this whole work on your game philosophy, doing it every day. And another reason that I don't even always mention is that most people don't want to show up. You want to separate yourself from everybody else. One of the most important things you can do is show up every single day and just do your job. That can separate you from a whole lot of people very quickly. The first week, a lot of people are going to be there. The second week, fewer people. The third week, you might be the only one there. I have a principle called the third day. The third is a chapter I gave to the third day in my book, Work on Your Game. And I got some more material about the third day coming soon that I won't talk about in too much detail just yet, but stay tuned. The third day is that time when it's not new anymore, it's not fun anymore, all the sheen has worn off of the novelty, and now you just gotta show up and do your job, and it ain't always so fun. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to deal with that? If you are, then you are qualified to possibly be a professional. But now you need more. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is the work on your game framework as it applies to business and sports. Point number 2 is confidence. In the sports world, I realized something playing basketball is that I would never get the ball if I stood around hoping that somebody passed it to me. I realized that I might not get the ball if I complained to one of my teammates about not passing it to me. I realized that I would not get the ball just because I was on the court and I was open and nobody was guarding me. Now, maybe when you're playing with some players, you might get the ball because of that. But I realized that in sports, that alone would not get me the ball all the time. There were times where I thought I should have the ball, but I didn't have the ball. And I realized that I was going to need to do something about that. I could talk about it, but then I saw other people talking about the same thing, and it didn't work. It didn't actually get them the ball. So I realized I had to do something different. In the business world, it's the exact same thing. Being good. I mean, we talked about this a lot in the last several episodes. Being good alone is not enough in the business world, simply because there are too many other people who are also good. Too many other people who are trying to get themselves seen, heard, and known just like you are. They might not be as good as you, but if they do a better job getting themselves seen, heard, and known, they don't have to be better than you. All they gotta do is be a better salesperson than you. In the sports world and in the business world, you must be willing to put yourself out there boldly and authentically in some way, shape, or form in order to get the ball, metaphorically speaking, if we're talking business. And literally get the ball if we're talking basketball. How do you get the ball? You gotta have confidence. You gotta believe in yourself. If you're not willing to put yourself out there. In the sports world, there's a story, I think I told this in my book, Work on Your Game, but I know I've told it somewhere before. I was playing on this recreational league team. We lost the game, and one of my teammates said we lost because of something, and I said, no, we lost because I didn't get the ball. And it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it was kind of serious, and one of the assistant coaches heard me, and they said, what'd you say, Dre? And I said, we lost because I didn't get the ball. And then I walked away, and the next time I saw the head coach, word had gotten back to him, and he said, Dre, you know what? You be talking a lot of shit about how good you are. I'm gonna give you the ball and we're gonna see what you do. And we're gonna see if you can back up this shit that you be talking. And I backed it up and I got better from there. I got my confidence grew and my career started to take off from that point. I was only maybe 16 at that time, but then I played well on that team. I made my high school team, walked on in college, became a pro, and the rest became history. Storybook ended. The whole point is I was willing to put myself out there. I was willing to say something like that. Like, hey, I'm the one who needs to get the ball. Now, I just told you talking alone is not going to do it. Well, it depends on who you're talking to and what you said. Now, again, I wasn't even trying to get the coach's attention when I said what I said. He just happened to hear it. And then when he gave me a chance to backtrack, to walk it back, I doubled down on it. And then I got my opportunity and then I did something with it. Now, that's a little bit of luck and a little bit of me willing that to happen, but you gotta be willing to put yourself out there. You don't know what's gonna work at all times. You might put something out there and think it's the most amazing thing you ever did, but nobody responds to it. Then you put something else out there that you don't think is anything and somebody notices it and it becomes a thing. It becomes a story. Again, I wasn't trying to make that a story. I didn't go to the coach and say, hey coach, give me the ball. I could have did that, but I didn't do that. He heard me say something. I wasn't even talking to him and that became my opportunity. Sometimes in life, that's the way it happens, but you gotta be bold and authentic at all times. So when that happenstance occurs, or when that luck, if you wanna call it that, occurs, you're ready to actually take advantage of it. In the sports world, when you're out on that field or on that court, you can't be trigger shy about your game. All right, everybody's too good in the sports world. You're playing sports, especially as you ascend levels, you're gonna be playing with and against players who are just as good, if not better than you. So if you're hesitant, all right, how are you gonna be somebody who's just as good as you, but you're hesitating and they're not? How are you gonna be somebody who's better than you? You're hesitating and they're not. You believe in, they believe in themselves and you don't. How are you gonna beat them? If y'all got equal level of skill, it's impossible. You won't beat them. It's a trick question. By the time you gear up for action, if you're trigger shy and you don't believe in yourself or you're not being bold, by the time you finally figure out what you should do, the opportunity is gone. When your number is called in the sports world or in the business world, you better be ready at that exact moment to make something happen. In the business world, your number can get called the same way that in the sports world, your number can get called. You could be the backup quarterback and the starting quarterback who's been there forever. It seems like he's going to be the franchise guy for the next 10 years. He gets injured randomly one game, and now they call your name. Hey, Tom Brady, 199th pick in the draft. It's your chance. You're up. The starting quarterback's injured. We know he's the franchise quarterback, but he's injured. We need you to get in the game. You better be ready to play. Had he not been ready at that opportunity, Tom Brady might not be Tom Brady. This is the way that it works, people. Are you willing to show up boldly and authentically? Who was it? It was Lou Gehrig, baseball player, who Cal Ripken Jr. was the one who broke his record of consecutive games played, over 2,000 consecutive games played in baseball. You know how Lou Gehrig got his first opportunity? It was the guy that he was backing up missed the game. Lou Gehrig replaced him for that one game and he never came out. He got in to replace him for one game and he never lost his spot because he was playing so well. This is the way that it works in all of life. You gotta be ready at that moment. And in the sales world or in the marketing world, with everybody being a salesperson or marketer, as we talked about in masterclass number 1515, you must be willing to be bold in making yourself stand out amongst competition. Like again, when that coach said to me, what did you say, Dre? And I said, it's because they didn't give me the ball. You gotta be willing to be bold. You gotta be willing to make a bold statement. You gotta be willing to make an audacious claim when you're in the sales world that's gonna help you stand out from all the other people trying to sell stuff just like you are, maybe even a similar product to you. What can you say that they can't say or that they're unwilling to say that would at least give you people's attention for long enough for you to give them some real substance? If you're not willing to be bold with that, then how are you gonna get anybody's attention? You're not willing to be bold with your marketing or your advertising or your headlines or your sales copy. How can you get anyone to even notice the real substance beneath all of that? You got to get people to notice you. Get people to pay attention in some way, shape, or form. You can't do that. You could be the best player in the room or had the best product in the market, but nobody will know about it because nobody bought it. Point number 3. Today's topic is the work on your game framework as it applies to business and sports. Number 3 is mental toughness. Mental toughness is the measure of how disciplined and confident you can remain even when things are not working in your favor. As a result of your discipline and confidence. You've been disciplined, doing all the right things, showing up every day, putting yourself out there boldly and authentically, yet nothing is working, even though you're doing everything that I've already told you to do. Can you keep showing up? Will you keep doing the work? Will you keep believing in yourself? Will you keep following your plan? Or will you give up and say, you know what, obviously this plan doesn't work. Obviously this work on your game stuff is a scam. I'm done, I ain't doing it anymore. Are you gonna be that, or are you gonna be the person who keeps showing up, doing the job until you figure something out? This is the measure of your mental toughness. In my basketball journey, there were many setbacks. Again, I didn't start playing until I was 14, so a bunch of players that had already been playing, they were better than me. Didn't make my high school team until my 4th trying out for the high school team, and then sat on the bench the 1 year that I was on the team. All right, there's very little record of me doing anything of consequence on the basketball team at my high school for the whole 4 years. I didn't do nothing the 1 year I was on the team. Walked on at a college that was a small school. There wasn't no big thing that I was on the basketball team there. Nobody cared about the basketball team there. Basketball team wasn't even a serious team. Transferred to another school where it was a little bit more serious. The coach who recruited me, he leaves. He gets replaced by a different coach, and that coach starts to clean house. I end up outside of the basketball program at a D3 school. It ain't like I was off the team at Duke or North Carolina. I was off the team at Penn State Altoona, who didn't produce any professional basketball players. So what was the chance I was going to become one? I wasn't even on the team. Even the players on the team didn't go pro. And I had to hustle my way into the pros. And even when I got into the pros, there were many times where things weren't working. I had plenty of opportunities to quit. Plenty of opportunities to give up, plenty of chances where I could have just said, you know what, I ain't doing this work anymore. I'm not going to believe in this happening anymore. I'm not going to put myself out there anymore. Many opportunities I had to do that, and there were people who probably would have suggested I do that had I asked them at certain points in my journey, but I kept going. That was the measure of mental toughness. In the business world, it's the same thing. And when you step into the business world, you're starting out as a nobody. Unless you're related to somebody or your mom or your dad, you inherit a business from them or something like that, you are starting out as a nobody. In the sports world, you're not going to win every single game. Sometimes you're going to fall. Sometimes if you're a boxer, you're going to get punched in the face. You're a football player, you're going to get sacked or tackled or scored on. You're a basketball player, somebody's going to cross you over and dunk on you. There are going to be times when things are not working. Sometimes you're going to face somebody who's just better than you, at least that day. The question is, can you keep your confidence up despite the fact that you've been beaten? Will you stick to the script and do the prep work that you're supposed to do, even though you lost your last 3 games? Are you going to blame the prep work, or are you going to blame the fact that maybe you just didn't perform, or blame the fact that, you know what, maybe you just went against people who are better than you, and that's why you lost? Or are you going to blame the one thing that needs to stay consistent, which is your preparation? Can you keep your confidence up when nothing's working? Will you stick to the script, even when it seems like the script is not working in your favor? Are you going to just change everything up every time you fail? Something didn't work last time or the last few times. Are you going to just throw everything in the garbage and say, I got to start this whole thing all over? Or will you examine and figure out which parts are actually working and which parts need to change for us to get a different result? Because it might not be everything. Usually it's not everything. This principle is one of the most important principles out there for any framework that anybody creates for anything, even if it's not the work on your game framework. This is one of the most important principles of mental toughness, simply because human beings are imperfect. Nothing works perfectly every single time. Things go wrong. People fail. Human beings mess up. All right, there's no such thing as a perfect human. There's no such thing as a perfect athlete. There's no such thing as a perfect business. There will always be things not working. There will always be setbacks. There will always be challenges. There will always be things that need to be handled that are not working the way that we want them to work. How mentally tough are you to keep going even though things are not working the right way? Everybody's going to take losses. In the business world, you will take losses. In the sports world, you will take losses. The question is how you respond. If you respond at all, first of all, will you respond? And then how do you respond? And that determines whether you even remain eligible for success. Because if you give up or you quit or you stop doing the work, you stop putting yourself out there, you lose your confidence, the game is over. When your confidence runs out, you run out. Okay? When your confidence goes out the window, you go out the window. Your career goes out the window. Your business goes out the window. As soon as you stop believing, as soon as you stop doing the work that makes you a pro, you are no longer a pro. Being a pro is not about being signed to a contract. It's not even about what you do in a live performance. It's about what you do in the shadows in the background. You stop doing the work in the background, you are on your way out of the game. Even though front facing and to the world, it seems like you're just as good as ever. You're on your way out. You know you're on your way out. It's not about what other people think. That's why it's called mental toughness. This is not no public toughness. It's not social media toughness. It's mental toughness. How much are you staying locked into what you need to be doing? It has nothing to do with what anybody else sees or knows or thinks. Point number 4. Today's topic is the work on your game framework for business and sports. Number 4 is personal initiative. In the basketball world, I had to invest in myself even before I knew if it would pay off for me. I invested in programs, I invested in training, I invested in going to the gym, I invested my time and effort and energy and attention and focus into making myself better at basketball, even though for 23 plus years, there was no proof that it was ever going to pay me back. But I had to keep making those investments and take the initiative and go and doing things and trying things, going to tryouts and renting cars and driving to places and getting on flights and all these different things that I was doing, paying for exposure events, getting days off from work when I barely had any money in the first place, all these things that I had to do just to get myself an opportunity to maybe get a return on my investment that I had put so many years in for it. But if I had not had the initiative to actually make those investments and do those things, I would have put all that time in and never even given myself a chance. I never would have made myself eligible to become a professional. In the business world, personal initiative means presenting yourself as someone who can solve a problem and charging for it when no one has ever paid you for it before. I mean, you got to start somewhere, right? People often ask this question when I talk about it. They say, well, I understand that, but how do I actually get started? No, where do I begin? What's the first thing I had to do? The first thing you had to do is the first thing that you have to do. First thing is figuring out where you can solve a problem. This is in the sports world or the business world. Where can you solve a problem? And once you prove that you can solve the problem, then you got to ask for the sale. You got to be willing to charge for it. All right, you like my game, Mr. Basketball Coach? Okay, all right, sign me to a contract. This is how much I want, or how much can you offer me? Or y'all willing to sign me? Like, let's make something happen. Let's talk. Business world, all right, I can solve your problem, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Johnson. All right, this is how we can solve your problem. This is the way it would work. We would do this, 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 and this. You're going to get all these things. We're going to produce this result. This is how much it's going to cost. You ready to get started? Yes or no? You got to be willing to ask for the sale. That's personal initiative, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be confident to ask for a sale. You got to be mentally tough because sometimes they're going to say no. You got to be disciplined because you're going to have to ask for the sale from more than one person to make a whole lot of sales, right? You might ask 10 people for a sale to make 3 sales. You might ask 3,000 to make 1,000. Sometimes you got to do that. That's the game that you're signing up for. If you don't have the initiative to get started, you can never finish. Let me say that one more time. If you don't have the initiative to get started, you can never finish. Can you go after a big job when you've never had a big job? When you can go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. In the sports world, what did we talk about earlier? I said I would be on the court and I know I'm open, wide open, but nobody's passing me the ball. So are you going to stand there and just hope that somebody passes it to you, or are you going to go grab a rebound or get a steal or do something to where you can have some impact on the game as opposed to just being a foot soldier, nobody even realizing that you were on the court and the game's over? In the sports world, as in the business world, you may never get your chance if you sit on your hands and hope for opportunity to come to you. Everybody heard what I just said there? You may never get your chance if you're sitting on your hands hoping an opportunity comes your way. Masterclass number 730. Equality is a myth. Now I know if you watch baseball and who knows what they're gonna do in football as of this recording, and in the NBA they have people putting equality on the back of their jerseys. It's all about equality and everybody being the same, and this movement for change is what they're calling it, social justice and all that. They want there to be equality in the world. All right, that will never happen. All right, this movement is gonna be going on forever. This movement is gonna be marching until they walk off the edge of the map, because the equality will never be achieved. Equality is a myth, ladies and gentlemen. What do I mean by this? Just because you think you are, if you think or believe that you are, even if you have proven, you think you have proven that you are just as good as somebody else who's getting a lot more attention than you, that belief alone or that thought alone is worth zero. It is worth nothing. And its value is diminishing. Your thoughts and beliefs about how good you are worth nothing until you get the people who have the power to do something for and with you to believe it too. All right, the equality of you just need to be good and everything else is going to take care of itself. All right, somebody lied to you. All right, somebody sold you a bill of goods. That is not true. Everyone in life does not get equal opportunity. Did everyone hear what I just said? I will say it again for the slow learners. Everyone in life does not get equal opportunity. In life, there will always be imbalance. Things will never be perfectly balanced. You want things to be unbalanced. Here's the key. You just want that lack of balance working in your favor rather than against you. And you know how you get the things that you want in life, the majority of them? You get them by taking them. All right, period. Initiative, when I say personal initiative, initiative is seized. You seize the initiative. You take the initiative. You take control. You take leadership. It's not given to you. It will not be handed to you. Nobody's gonna come to you and say, you know what, I got a lot more than you and it's completely imbalanced in my favor. I'm gonna give some of what I got to you so that we're completely equal. All right, if that ever happened to you, all right, get it on camera. All right, because it probably won't happen. You want the imbalance. You just want it working in your favor. Again, ethically, you're not taking anything against somebody's will or anything like that. Ethically, you want an imbalance. You want an unfair advantage. There are people in life who have an unfair advantage right now. Don't be mad at them for having an unfair advantage. Be mad at yourself for not figuring out how to get it for you. Because there is a way to get it, because there are people out here who have it. Because if there was no way to get it, there wouldn't be people, there wouldn't be examples for you to look at. So how do you get it? No excuses. All right, you can't pay bills with excuses. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is the work on your game framework as it applies to sports and business. Number one is discipline. In basketball, you got to show up every single day to do the work. In any sport, you got to show up every day to do the work. As soon as you stop showing up every day, your career will be over. It either already is over or it will be over. In the business world, things are not always going to work out the way that you want them to work out, and no supervisor wants a team full of people who ain't going to show up every single day doing the work. In sports, if you're in business, rather, if you're not showing up every day to do the work, even when things are not working out, you're going to be completely out of business even faster than you thought, even faster than you would have been had things continued to not work out. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep doing the job. You got to keep asking yourself the right questions so that you can get the answers that will lead you to making whatever adjustments you need to make to get to your success. Point number two, confidence. In sports, you realize you will not get the ball standing around waiting for it. In the business world, you're not going to get the ball standing around waiting for it. You got to be willing to put yourself out there boldly and authentically. You cannot be trigger shy because there are too many people who are too good. You must be ready to make something happen at the moment that opportunity presents itself. And you got to be willing to be bold and putting yourself out there. Like we talked about in Masterclass 15, you as a marketer. You want to stand out amongst competitors. Sometimes it's not enough to just be better than them. You got to do something that gets other people's attention. You must compel people to watch. Point number three, mental toughness. Staying disciplined and confident, even when things are not working in your favor. I face many setbacks in sports. Any athlete is going to face plenty of setbacks. In the business world, there'll be plenty of them as well. You're not going to win every game. Sometimes you're going to lose a sale. Can you keep your confidence up? Will you stick to the script and stick to your disciplines even when things are not working as a result of your confidence and your disciplines? Everybody in life is going to take losses. The question is not if you will take a loss. It is how, is first of all, if and how you will respond to those losses that determines whether you remain eligible for success. And point number four, personal initiative. You have to invest in yourself. You have to make moves to get started. You cannot sit around and hope things happen for you. You must get active and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Do that boldly, do it consistently, and you must stay mentally tough and stay locked in and focused on it, even when the last time you tried it, nothing happened. All right, in the sports world, as in the business world, you will never get your chance if you sit on your hands and hope that your chance comes to you. Equality is a myth, people. There is no such thing as equality. There will never be a world where everybody is completely equal. All right, you want imbalance. You just want it working in your favor, and you get it by taking it, not waiting for it, not hoping for it, not hashtagging about it, not complaining about it, somebody else having it. You got to go get it. Personal initiative is seized, it is taken. Leadership is seized and taken. It is never, ever given. Work on your game. Oh yeah, you ain't got the book? WorkOnYourGameBook.com. Dre, all